right, so this topic, it's called What Features Do You Want? And I named it that because that's what it is on the objectives. But mainly what I want to do is go through some of the general features that you're going to get with your Windows 10 editions. So Cortana, I mentioned that one a little earlier. Right, this is the digital assistant to control Windows 10. So you can actually do voice recognition for writing emails, setting reminders, doing web searches. It is voice activated, so you do need a microphone. Now, that's usually not a problem with a tablet or a mobile phone or even a laptop these days because they'll have it built into the bezel or whatever. Your desktop, on the other hand, you may have to have a dedicated microphone or a headset, something to that effect. So when you speak to Cortana, she can hear you, right? Now, it's pretty cool. If you've never used these digital assistants for anything, and every company out there, not every company, but all the big players, right? Google has one, Amazon has one, Apple has one, Microsoft has one, Samsung has their own flavor as well. So everybody has one of these. It's anybody, I guess you can say. But writing an email with just your voice, that's pretty cool. I guess you're technically not writing it. The computer's writing it for you. But all you have to do is speak. And yeah, you got to speak slowly. You got to speak clearly. Sometimes it doesn't work out real well, but Cortana is built in there. Your client Hyper-V. All right, that's another general feature. It's a good feature for Pro and above. But you can create, manage, and run virtual machines. You can put different guest operating systems on there. I use virtualization all of the time for everything that I do. If I'm working on forensics, if I'm doing a pen test, if I'm practicing with some networking equipment. I used to have a bunch of VM for every course that I taught because I'd have different PowerPoints in there. I'd have different demos. I'd have different tools. I'd have different software. I'd have all kind of different things. So I had one for each individual class. I kind of got away from that part, but Client Hyper-V is Microsoft's implementation for virtualization, and we're definitely going to get into this a little bit later. Miracast, that connects our Windows devices wirelessly to an external monitor or projector. Touch is our touch-centric operating system because Windows 10, just like 8.1, was touch. That's what they came up with the tiles for, right? The start menu changed, and they have these live tiles now. You can click that with a mouse pretty easy, right? Because the tile can be anywhere from, a couple inches wide. We can make it a half-inch wide and half-inch tall, a little smaller, but it's designed that way on purpose. They just didn't want to take up more screen space. They designed it that way for fingers, right? So you can touch it with your finger, touch it with a stylus, because you need a little more real estate on the screen to make that happen. Some other features. We got something called Continuum. All right, now this is on a variety of device types and different form factors, but with Windows 10, what this allows you to do is optimize what they call the user experience across device types. It will detect the hardware on your device and change it to that hardware. So let's say you want to hook up a keyboard to your phone or a mouse to your tablet or something to that effect. It seamlessly does that. OneDrive, that's been out there for a long time. Forgot what it was called before that. I think it was called SkyDrive or something to that effect. Don't quote me on that one either, but they renamed it years ago. But OneDrive, you get some free online storage. All right, now you can get a lot of it. They do offer quite a bit. And then you can pay for more as well. But that is a cloud storage solution. Right, that's OneDrive. It's somewhere on the cloud, right? Somebody else's computer. The cool thing is, though, let's say I take a picture of something when I'm, doing an investigation, right? I take a picture of it and I can upload it to OneDrive. And then when I get back to the office or back to the shop, I can get on OneDrive and pull it down on my desktop or my laptop or tablet. And I got the same copy everywhere because of the way cloud services work. Right? It's a one-stop shop somewhere and I can get it from everywhere. We can sync our settings, right? If we want to use more than one Windows 10 device, it is convenient sometimes, and I'll get to that here in a second, for your user settings to move with you to the new device. All right, now when I first started using Windows 10, I was not very aware of this. I had read something about it, but until I changed the desktop on my home computer, I had a laptop that I used as my desktop and external monitors, the whole 9 yards. But when I changed that background, it changed it on my other laptop, which changed it on my Surface Pro, and it changed it on every Windows device that I had. So I thought, well, that's neat. So I went in and changed it again. And then next time I signed on or restarted those systems or my Pro or whatever, that background changed again. So those settings kept going with me. Right now, those settings are going out to the cloud. Some people don't like that kind of thing. Right? They always say, well, Microsoft knows all about me. Right? They're always talking about Microsoft, Google, Amazon, and everything because they collect all this data and they say that's another thing of data. Whatever. I'm not here for that debate or discussion. It's just neat if you would like it to look the same way across all your devices. Plain and simple. We do get some security features for Windows 10. I touched on BitLocker a little earlier. We have something called a Trusted Platform Module, a TPM chip, and this works with BitLocker and it helps to protect against data theft. It also helps for offline tampering because it takes the drive and it can actually encrypt the entire drive. All right, now that we're not going to get into encryption, and this is not a cybersecurity course, but encryption is taking plain text and you're jumbling it up and you're making it where they can't understand it without the key or how you jumbled it up in the first place. The offline tampering means, let's say I found your computer or I broke into your home, whatever the case may be. Instead of taking the whole computer, maybe I just, okay, you know what? You got it protected. I'm just going to take the hard drive out. Well, that TPM chip goes with the hard drive, or it needs to go with the hard drive. That's soldered onto the motherboard most of the time. So not only would you have to take the hard drive to get the data, you'd have to take the TPM chip that corresponds to the encryption keys that encrypted the data in the first place. So it's pretty secure. You can have two-factor authentication. Right? We talk about factored authentication all the time. Most of the time it's a PIN number or a password that we put into our Windows machine. Right? You hit Control-Alt-Delete or Windows keys and you log in, you put in your username and you put in your password. Well, that's one form of authentication. Two-factor would be based on two factors like something you know, like your password or a PIN, something you have, like a smart card or a token, or something that you are, something that you do, right? Which is usually like fingerprints, retinal scans, facial recognition nowadays, voice recognition. You may be able to think about two-factor authentication as well as like, let's say you try to sign on and it says, oh, I don't recognize this, and it's going to send you a code to maybe your mobile device. I know Yahoo does this to me all the time when I travel, right? So if it says, oh, are you trying to log in from this location? And I can hit yes on my mobile device, then it goes back through the cloud down to the computer where I'm sitting, maybe in some hotel kiosk, and it says, oh, yes, you're good to go. You have authenticated yourself, not just with the password on your Yahoo account, but the second form of authentication, something that you have now, because I have my phone, and I hit that, and it's like a security token. So that's really good, right? I push two-factor authentication in every cybersecurity course that I teach, every security end-user awareness course I teach. You can even use two-factor authentication at home, all right? Microsoft supports that, and it's coming, all right? So get on board with it. If you're not, start pushing it to all your end users if you're not doing that. We also have device health attestation. Right? This ensures that your Windows 10 devices that are connecting to your organization, they meet some minimum requirements when it comes to compliance and security. Right? They say, oh, wait a second, you don't have any anti-malware installed on this system. Well, the device health will say, whoa, not allowed. Go get some anti-malware, then you may come. It's trying to protect the organization, trying to protect your infrastructure. That's the idea behind it. There's also something called Secure Boot. Now, Secure Boot, when it's enabled, you can only start the operating system by using the operating system loader that's signed using a digital certificate stored in the UEFI Secure Boot Database. I know that's a mouthful, but without this digital certificate being signed, without that implemented, you may be able to load a whole other version of Windows that looks just like your Windows, but it has keyloggers built in. It's got rootkit built in. It's got a Trojan horse for backdoor access built in. You won't ever know it. Right, because what can happen is you can get like a boot sector virus, have that on the system, and load something from somewhere else. It comes back, but without it being digitally signed with Secure Boot, it says, "Wait a minute, that's not digitally signed by Microsoft. This is not approved. We're not loading this." All right, now Secure Boot got I don't want to say it got hacked, but it got put out there by some Microsoft employees a while back, where they were talking about the ins and outs and some information that should not have been shared about Secure Boot, about some vulnerabilities and potential exploits. So if you heard about that, that's exactly what we're talking about here. You can also have a virtual smart card. Now, this feature offers the comparable security benefits like two-factor authentication, because it's just like a physical smart card, something that you have. Now, being virtual, I don't really have it in my hand, but that's what they're trying to emulate, right? So you have a virtual smart card, and then you could also have your PIN or password that goes with that smart card. So it's going to be like a software token that you have, and you also combine that with another form of authentication to give you that two-factor authentication. All right, that is the end of features. I will see you coming up in the next topic.